Begin today the Gemara at the bottom of Daf Yud Aleph Amud Beis, 3 lines from the bottom of the page. The Gemara brought up over here Kalev because it spoke about the yichus of David HaMelech, and one of the things it said was that David was a Ish Efrasi, and Efrasi referred to Kalev, which married Miriam, actually, and Miriam had a name Ephras. Okay, so here it brings up the psukim where it talks about Kalev that married Miriam. So the Kalev ben Chetzrain, Haile de Sazuva Isha. So the simple translation would be that Kalev married Azuva, Kalev and Chetzrain gave birth to Azuva, Ve'asiriyais, and Ve'ela Bana, and these are her children, Yasha, Ve'sheva, Ve'ardain. Okay, so the Gemara will explain that doesn't mean that he gave birth to her, but it actually means he married her, as we'll see. But first, the Gemara explains, what does it mean when it says that Kalev was Ben Chetzrain? Ben Chetzrain was Kalev, the son of Chetzrain, but in Chumash it says different. It says Ben Yefuneh, Kalev Ben Yefuneh. And says the Gemara, Hu Ben Shepina Me'atzas Meraglim, that really his father's name was Chetzrain. In the Chumash, though, when it talks about the story of the Meraglim, it refers to him as Ben Yefuneh because he removed himself. Pina, he removed himself from the plan of the Meraglim. So he got that nickname, Ben Yefuneh. But Vakati, we find in a different place that his father had a different name. Vakati ben Knazhu. He was the son of Knaz. There's a pasuk that says, Vayilkeda Asniel ben Knaz. Who was this Asniel? Achi Kalev, the brother of Kalev. So we see that the brother of Kalev, his father is Knaz. So seemingly the father of Kalev as well is Knaz. So why are we calling his father Chetzrain? Rav answers, Chorgoi de Knaz have. That no, he was a son of the wife of Knaz, meaning that his brother Asniel, they shared the same mother, but they didn't share the same father. His father was Knaz and his father was Chetzrain. Dekanami, I'll prove this to you. There's another pasuk when it talks about Kalev, it refers to him as Haknizi. It doesn't say Ben Knaz, but it says Haknizi. Haknizi means that he grew up by his mother that was the wife of Knaz, therefore he's called Haknizi. Shema Mina, so that proves that Knaz wasn't really his father, Chetzrain was his father. Okay, now it said up here in the pasuk that Kalev hoiled es Azuva. Says the Gemara, Azuva zu Miriam. When it says here Azuva, who does this refer to? It refers to Miriam. Valama nikra shma Azuva. Why is her name Azuva? Sha'koil azvua mitchilasa. Because everybody left her alone in the beginning because she was sick and nobody wanted to marry her. So all the Bachrim, no one was interested in marrying her. That's why she was called Azuva, and Kalev went ahead and married her. So now the question is, but the pasuk says Hoilid, that Kalev Mechetzron Hoilid is Azuva. He gave birth to Azuva. How could it say Hoilid? But V'halei Mitzvah v'Nasivla. He married Miriam. He didn't give birth to her. Rabbi Yochanan says Kala Noisa Isha L'Shem Shemayim, a person that marries a woman just for the sake of heaven. Right? In other words, he saw, Rashi says, what's over here, L'Shem Shemaim, he saw that she has such holy brothers like Aaron and Moshe, and that's why he's marrying her. Ma'ila olav akasav kili yolda. The Torah considers it as if he gave birth to her. So he married her, but it's ki'ilu yolda. Yiriyais, then the pasuk says that ve'es yiriyais, so this is the same one, it's not a different woman, it refers to Miriam as well. So why is the pasuk calling her Yiriyais? Sha'yi panah daimel Yiriyais. Because her face was similar to like a curtain that was white, didn't have the regular redness in the face. She was not, like it said before, that she was sick. Then it says, these were her children. So over here as well, it does not mean her children. It actually refers to Kalev himself. Al tikri baneh elo. Don't read it as these are her children, but rather these are her builders. Kalev was a builder. In what sense was he a builder? So the 3 children were, one was Yasha, Sheyisheres Atzmai, that Kalev was set himself in a straight path, right? When he didn't follow the pathway of the Meraglim. Sheiviv means Sheshiviv is Yitzray, that he went and he hit and he broke his Yetzirah. Va'ardain, the 3rd child, is referring also to Kalev himself. It means Sheroda es Yitzray, that he controlled his Yetzirah, from not allowing his Yetzirah to persuade him to follow the Meraglim. Dekadamri. And another pshat regarding the last name here of Ardain, that Al Shahayu Paneh Doim Leveret. It actually refers to the fact that Kalev married Miriam, and her face, after he married her, she got healed, and now her face was so beautiful, similar to a rose. There's another pasuk, and this is in Divrei Yamim, and this is also a pasuk that uses different names, but it's all a description of Kalev that married Miriam. Ula Ashcher avi takua ha yishtei nashim chala v'naira. So who's this fellow Ashcher? Ashcher is that Kalev. It refers to Kalev. What's this name of Ashcher? Shehushcharu panav betainis. That his face became black from the amount of fasts that he fasted, that he should be saved from the plan of the Meraglim. Avi, when it says Avi takua, shanasa loka'av. He married her and he became like a father for her. He took care of her, he healed her, he fed her, and eventually she got healed. Takua, why is it referring over here to him as the father? Takua. Shetaka aslibai la'av shebashamayim. He stuck his heart into his father's in heaven, and again, not to follow the Meraglim. Then it says, Hayishtei Nashim. He had two wives. It really refers just to one wife. Nasa Miriam Kishtei Nashim. Miriam, though, was considered to be like two wives. Because Chala v'Naira, as the pasuk here says, Chala v'Naira, it's not a name of two different wives. Loi Chala v'Naira avoy. Ella, rather what it means is, B'tchila Chala l'b'soif Naira. In the beginning she was sick, and then she became healthy again, like a young maiden. So this is another pasuk here that we see describes different names regarding Kalev that married Miriam. Another pasuk that it says over there as well in Divrei Yamim, and then further on there, Uvenei Chala, Tzaras v'Tzayar ve'Esna. Three names of the children. So this really all is not the names of children, but it's all a description of Miriam herself. Tzaras shenasis tzara l'chavresah, that she became so beautiful after she married Kalev. She was healed and she was so beautiful that she became like a rival to all of her friends, that she was more beautiful than everyone else. Tzoya, her face was shiny like in the afternoon when the sun shines the strongest. And Esnan, what does Esnan mean? Anyone that saw her beauty, a man that saw her beauty, would bring a gift for his wife because he wanted to have relations with his wife. That was the beauty that she received after she was healed, after Kalev married her. Okay, this was all a break here in the Gemara, speaking about Kalev that was brought up in connection to Miriam. Now we go back to the Psukim over there when Yidden were in Mitzrayim. So then it says in the pasuk that Parei commanded all of his people that any son born should be thrown into the Nilus. So on this, this decree was also not only on the Yidden, it was also on the Egyptians as well, because his stargazers told them that the savior of Yidden is born today, and when we don't know if he's going to come from Yidden or not. So therefore, the Gzeira was on everybody. There were three different stages to the decrees that Parei decreed. The first decree was in Benhu Vamiten Isai. The decree that he made that Yocheved and Miriam, that when they see a son, a baby born, they should kill him. Okay, but that didn't work out. He didn't have any shemrim, and they didn't listen to him. And then afterwards, then there was the Gzeira, which included even his nation. Or again, no, this was actually only on the Yidden. So then he had the police and Shemrim come and throw all the Jewish babies, the Banim, the sons, into the Nilus. And in the end, on that day, when he was told that the Mashiach Shel Yisrael is born, the Gzeira was even on his own nation, on his own people. Weiter the pasuk says, "Vayelech ish mi beis Levi," that ish mi beis Levi, which refers to Amram, he went. Where did he go to? Lahechan halach. Where did he go? Omer Rav Yehuda bar Zvina sheholach ba'atzas bitay. He went with the advice of his daughter. Sotah and Abraisi, we learned that explains this. Amram Godel Hadar Hoya. Amram was the greatest, the leader of the Yidden then. When he saw the Gzeira of Parei, that he said that all the sons are going to be thrown into the Nilos, Omar, he said, L'shav anu amelin. There's no reason for us to work hard and to have children. Amad v'girish esishtay, so he stood up and divorced his wife. The Kulan, so everyone followed suit. V'girish esnashesayim, and they divorced their wives. So his daughter Miriam came to him and said to her father, Abba, my father, Kashik Zeiras Chayesa Mishal Parei. Your decree is actually worse than Parei himself. The decree of Parei is only for the boys that are born. And you are divorcing your wife and causing all Yidden to divorce their wives, and this is a Gzeira, there'll be no children born. Paris Gzeire is only the children in this world that are born, that are going to be killed. And you, though, the children are never going to be born, so even if they die, they will not come into this world to have the ability then to return to Elam Abba. The Gzeira of Pare, there's a doubt whether his Gzeira will be fulfilled or not. Ato tzaddik, you're a tzaddik. Definitely your Gzeira will be fulfilled, and there will be no children born. Shanema, as it says by a tzaddik, vatigza eme vayakom loch. He decrees, and the Eibusher makes it be. So Amad vehechzer es ishtay. After his daughter said this to him, so that's the vayelech. He went with the advice of his daughter, and he returned his wife. He remarried her again. Amdu kulan vechziris neshasem. So all Yidden also again went and got married, remarried. So according to this, the Gemara asks, what does the pasuk say? Vayikach, that he took Yechevet as a wife. Why does it say Vayikach? V'yachsam yibayale. It should have said that he returned her to him as a wife. So Rabbi Yehuda bar Zvina answers, She'asaloi maise likuchen, or lasalah, he made for her a marriage exactly like when you marry a wife for the first time with the whole celebration. Hashiva ba'piryain, he had her sit on this special beautiful chair or couch, the way it is with a kala the first time, and that's how he married her. Or there's another pshat in this that asabali kuchen means that he had the marriage done the way it's done after Matan Torah. Before Matan Torah, there was no kiyikach, there was no proper kiddushin the way it is after Matan Torah. But the chiddush over here is that Amram married her with a proper kiddushin the way it was after Matan Torah. The Rebbe speaks about this barichas and a sicha in Chelik Yud Ches in Parashas Chukas. Now, Aaron and Miriam at this chasana of Amram and Yechevet, so their children, Aaron and Miriam, Meraktim Lufanel, were dancing in front of her, in front of the Kala. Malachi Asharis Amru, and the Malachim were there, and they were saying, Aim Habanim Semecha. The mother of these children is joyous by her own chasana, with her own children dancing there. The pasuk says, as Bas Levi, who did he marry? He married Bas Levi, Yechevet, which was a daughter of Levi. Why is it referring to her as Bas Levi? Efsher Bas Meya Shloishim Shana Havya. So Yechevet at this point was 130 years old, V'karila Bas. And he's referring to her as a young daughter. How do we know that she was 130 years old at this point? Because Yidden were in Mitzrayim for 210 years. And when Moshe Rabbeinu took Yidden out of Mitzrayim, he was 80 years old. So Yechevet was born right when Yidden entered into Mitzrayim, right? She was born Ben HaChomis when Yidden entered into Mitzrayim. So if you deduct from 210 years, the 80 years of Moshe Rabbeinu's life, so at this point she was 130 years old. Here, the Gemara brings the cheshbon. The pregnancy was on the way to Mitzrayim. Her birth was between the walls when they were coming into Mitzrayim. She was born in Mitzrayim, but the pregnancy was not in Mitzrayim. So that means that it comes out that she was at this point 130 years old. So why does it say Bas Levi? That was an S that happened, that she became young again. She became young like a maiden, and she had the simonim in her body like a naira. The creases in her face all removed, and she was mamish like young again. Right, so over here the Rebbe explains that this is similar to what it explains when it gets to the birth of Yitzchak, that Yitzchak, which is the first child born in Klal Yisrael, all has to come b'derech nes, because that's the existence of Klal Yisrael in the world. The existence of a Yid is connected to the Eibusher L'maylam and Ateva. So too over here, when they get to Moshe Rabbeinu, which is going to be Mashiach Shel Yisrael, the Redeemer of Yidden, comes from a mother that two things. Number one is the pregnancy is out of Mitzrayim, because there's a klal, ein chovish mater es atzmai, a prisoner can't free himself. Moshe Rabbeinu is born from a mother that her pregnancy was out of Mitzrayim, and also the very birth itself is b'derech nes. She's 130 years old, and she becomes like a naira again and gives birth to Moshe Rabbeinu. So Moshe Rabbeinu is above the nature of the world, and that's how he becomes Mashiach Shel Yisrael. Weiter the Gemara says, Vatar Isha Vatelet Ben, that she became pregnant and she gave birth to a son. So the question is, how could it say that now she became pregnant? She was already pregnant with Moshe Rabbeinu 3 months earlier than this. How do we know that she was pregnant with him 3 months earlier? So we'll see soon in the continuation of the Gemara. So, but meanwhile, the Gemara is asking, why are we putting the Vatar and the Vatela together in the same pasuk? It's to compare the birth to the pregnancy. Ma hayrasa shalei b'tzar, just like the pregnancy was without any pain. Afle dasa shalei b'tzar, so too the birth as well was without any pain. Mikan lenoshim tzidkaniyas, from here we see that righteous women shalehoyu bepiska shel Chava. The decree for Chava, the piska, the document sort of, the decree for Chava that all women give birth with pain does not apply to her, and it does not apply to all noshim tzidkaniyas. It actually brings this in Arvi Psachim when it talks about the chareisas, and it says there that we place into the chareisas the tapuach. You put apple into the chareisas. Rashi and the Rashbam over there say that this is connected to the Gemara that we learned in Daf Yud Aleph, where it says that all Yidden were born under the apple trees in Mitzrayim, tachas tapuach artich. And over there, Rashi and Rashbam says that Yidden, all Yidden then, the women gave birth without any pain, without the piska of Chava, without the gzeira of Chava. So this is another point where we see that the piska of Chava refers to what? To the chet Eitz Hadas, which is the klippa in the world, and the teva of the world. Moshe Rabbeinu's birth was completely l'mayla man teva, without any effect of the chet Eitz Hadas. There's an arichas sikha from the Rebbe about this as well. You can take a look in Chelik Vav, Parshas Shmais, the third sikha, beautiful sikha where the Rebbe explains this. And also benegay to Bechlal, benegay to the birth of the Yidden in Mitzrayim without any pain. There's also Chareisis, the Rebbe speaks about this in Chelik Lamed Beis, the Pesach Sikha there, and the end of that Sikha, the Rebbe explains this by Arichas. And she saw that he was good. What does this mean? Kitayvu. Tanya, Rab Meir, Rab Meir says, Toiv Shemai. It's his name. His name was Toiv. Rab Yudaime Tuvya Shemai. His name was Tuvya. Rab Nechemya Aime, Hagun L'Nevius. That he was fit for prophecy. That's what the goodness is. Others say Noilat Keshumal. He was born with a bris. Chachamim say B'shosh Noilat Moshe Nizmala Habayis Kulei Oyer. The entire house was filled with light. That's the goodness, right? So I've also spoke about this many times. And Smala Habayis, Moshe Rabbeinu's goodness and light was not just to himself, but he fills the whole environment, the whole mitzias of the world. He fills with light. That was Moshe Rabbeinu's shlichus in this world. How do we know? Because it says and then it says by creation, so that's the light of the entire world. Then the pasuk says, she hid him for 3 months. Why was she able to hid him for 3 months? Because the Mitzrayim, they were paying attention to see when a Jewish woman is giving birth, and then they would come to see where's the baby to kill the baby. So now they were looking to see when the chasana of Yecheved and Amram was, and therefore they were counted only from then, and they didn't know she was already pregnant with Moshe Rabbeinu from 3 months before this marriage. And so therefore they were counting. They thought that it's really only 6 months after the marriage, and therefore she was able to. Again, but this so it was only 6 months after the marriage that Moshe Rabbeinu was born, but really it was 9 months after the pregnancy because she was pregnant with him from 3 months from before. This is the source of what the Gemara said before, that she was pregnant with him from 3 months before. So therefore, she was able to hide him for 3 months. And then it was 9 months after the chasana. Now the Mitzrayim came looking around, what's going on? The pasuk says, she couldn't continue hiding him. Amai, why not? If she did hide him well, why couldn't she continue hiding him? Even if the Mitzrayim came around to look, but why? What was the problem of continuing to hide him? The answer is, because wherever the Mitzrayim heard that there was a baby born, they would bring another baby there. Yeah. So what happens is when one baby cries, so then the nature is when one baby cries, another baby listens, so he starts crying as well. So over here also they would bring a baby, and then the baby in hiding would start crying. So it was hard to hide the baby. The Chsiv pasuk says, "Ichsu lanu shualim ketanim v'gaimer." Grab young foxes and bring them to destroy the property. That's what the pasuk is speaking about over there. So over here as well, the Mitzrayim brought these young shualim, which refers to the young babies, to them, and have them cry to discover the hidden babies. So what it is, mother do vatikach leiteves goime. She took and she made a box that was made from goime. What's goime? Goime is made from these reeds and some kind of a soft material that create this box. Why did she make the box from goime? Why not from a more tougher, harder material? Amar Rabbi Elazar answers, Mikan l'tzadikim shememainam chavav aleim yaser megufam. From here we learn that by tzadikim, their money is more important to them than their body itself. So even though this box that she made is cheaper and is not going to be so well protected like if she would have made a hard, nice, good wooden box, but nevertheless, she doesn't want to spend extra money. Why is by tzaddikim every penny they spend so important to them? What's the reason for this? Because they don't steal. Everything that they have is their own hard-earned money. That's one pshat. Rab Shmuel ben Nachmani says that actually the reason why goyma is used, this material is used for the box, davarach, it's something which is softer, it's more flexible, and it's actually better to be put into the water in this. And therefore it's able to withstand anything that will come and any friction, whether from something soft or from something tough. And if you have a piece of wood that's the box is made from wood or something that's more tough, if it bumps into something else, it's not flexible, so it can break it. But if this goyma is more flexible, and therefore it sort of bounces back, and it can hold better. Then it says vatachmera b'chemer ubazefes. And she applied to insulate it with chemer, mortar or zefes, pitch, to make it waterproof. So Tana and Abraisa we learned chemer b'befnim. So the chemer that was on the inside of this box, when the zefes, the pitch or tar pitch, b'bachutz on the outside. What's the reason? So Moshe Rabbeinu shouldn't have smell the bad odor that comes from zefes, from pitch. She placed the child into this box, and she placed him into the suf. What's suf? This means that he was placed not into the Nilus, but he was placed into the Yamsuf. Rab Shmuel ben Achmeni Yomar, that suf means agam, into an agam. An agam is, I think the word for it in English maybe is a marsh, an area like right by the shallow part of the water where you have the reeds growing there, willows, the ravis grow there. Kedichsev, as it says in another pasuk, kana v'suf kamelu, that there's the kana, the suf, there's the reeds that grow there in this place of suf kamelu, which were cut down. Vateiret bas Parai, the daughter of Parai, went down to bathe herself. Lirchetz alei oir. Am Rabbi Yochanan, so Rabbi Yochanan says, Mishum Rab Shimon ben Yochi, melamed sheyarda lirchaitz miglulei avia. She went down then to bathe and wash herself off from her father's avodah zarah. Similar pasuk, we learned this from. It says, Hashem washes off the filth of B'nai Tzion. So too over here she went to wash herself off from the filth from the avodah zarah. That ever brings in one place in Sichen Chelik Tezayin, Pasha Shmais from the Rogachover, that the fact that she washed herself off from her father's avodah zarah, that was mevatel the avodah zarah of Nilus. The Nilus was the avodah zarah of the Mitzrayim. Why? Because the Nilus was the source of the irrigation, the water of all the fields. So she went down to wash herself off from this avodah zarah, and that's when Moshe Rabbeinu was placed into the water. If not for the fact that she washed herself off from the avodah zarah, so then Moshe Rabbeinu couldn't be placed into an avodah zarah. So she was mevatel avodah zarah, and then at the same time Moshe Rabbeinu was placed into the water. And then we know the Gemara says also when Moshe Rabbeinu was placed into the water, then the gzeira of kol ben ayilad ayoyed tashlichu also stopped, because once the stargazers of Parai saw that he was in the water, so the gzeira was over. Right, so the Rebbe says these two things are connected. Moshe Rabbeinu was born. Moshe Rabbeinu was the one that lifted Yidden out of Mitzrayim. Really, the gzeira of throwing the Yidden into the Nilos wasn't just a physical gzeira. It was the gzeira of immersing Yidden into the culture and the avodah zarah of the Mitzrayim and the Nilos. And here she washed herself off from this, and Moshe Rabbeinu was then placed into this Yair also that began taking Yidden out of the avodah zarah of Mitzrayim.
She about putting Moshe inside of it.
Now she first was mevatel, and then Moshe Rabbeinu was placed in. That's what the Rogat Shavah says. Then Moshe Rabbeinu was placed into the Nilus. And her maidens were going along with her, accompanying her. They went along with her. They were going to their death, as we'll see in a moment. Over there, the word hoilach means to death. What happened? She sees this box floating in the river there. Kivin the chazu, the kaboy latzuli Moshe. So now her maidens going along with her saw that she wants to save Moshe. Amrulas, or maiden said to her, Gvira Seinu, our mistress, Minhaga Shalaylam, the custom in the world is, Melech Basavadam Geizig Zayda, a king of flesh and blood, decrees a decree, in Kolaylam Kulayim Mekaimanisa, even if everyone else is not fulfilling it, but one of them Nebesa Mekaimanisa, at least his own children, his own family fulfill his Gzayda. And you are going to go against the Gzayda of your father and save this Jewish child here? So Gavriel came along and beat them down to the ground and killed them. That's the halicha, they were going to die. Then the pasuk says, what did the daughter of Pare do? She sent or stretched out a masa. What's a masa? Batikachen, she took Moshe. So Rabbi Yehuda and Rav Nechemia argue what a masa is. Chadamar yada. She stretched out her hand. She sent a maid. Mandama yada, the one that says that it was her hand. Ichsiv a masa. It doesn't say a shifcha. It says a masa. A masa means her arm. The opinion that says that she sent a maid, midulay ksiv yada. On the other hand, it doesn't say the word yada. That's the usual expression. So therefore, he says it means a maid. The opinion that says that she sent a maid to bring Moshe, ha'amres ba Gavriel v'chaftam bekarka. Didn't you say that Gavriel beat them down and killed them? Answers the Gemara, the shire lachada. He left for her one maid to go along with her, the lav orcha the bas malka lemekim l'chuda, because it's not customary for the princess to go completely alone, so one was left alive, and that's the one she sent. Now, leman dama yada, so according to the opinion that says that she stretched out her hand, lichtav yada, why does the pasuk say amasa? Why doesn't it say hand? And says the Gemara, hakamash malon, by saying the word amasa, what it's teaching me is the ishtarviv ishtarvuvi, that her hand miraculously was extended to be able to reach the teva of Moshe Rabbeinu. Amamar, as the master has said, the arm of the daughter of Parai, that her hand was extended. And similar also you find regarding the teeth of the Rishayim, the teeth of the Rishayim, you have crushed them, broken them. Don't read the word shibarta, ela shirivivasa. Rather, what it means is that the teeth got extended, and this is the story. It's a story in Gemara and Brachas, when Moshe Rabbeinu killed Og Melech HaBashan, he picked up this mountain above his head, and then his teeth extended out into the mountain, and it got stuck on his head, and that was his downfall. Pasuk says, Vatiftach, she opened the box, Vatir'ehu es hayeled, and she saw it, the child. So, Vatir'ehu, why does it say she saw it? Vateira mibayele, she saw the child. So why does it say Vatir'ehu? It sounds like she saw something else other than the child. She saw the Shechina there along with Moshe Rabbeinu. Then it says, Vihine nar baiche, and there was this young lad crying. The pasuk refers to him as a child, a baby, and also as a nar, a young lad. So why is he being referred to as a nar? And so the Gemara, Tana, who yeled? He's a baby, but the koile cannot. But he had a voice already like more mature, like a young lad. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda, this is Rabbi Yehuda's opinion, so this shows on a mila of Moshe Rabbeinu. Amalei Rav Nechemia says, no, that's not a mila. Imken asisel Moshe Rabbeinu balmum. Moshe Rabbeinu is a balmum, that at a young age, he has already a voice like a young lad, like a nar. That's not, so Rashi says, the balmum here, the significance is that he's a Levi. And if his voice is not the way voice naturally is, he's puzzled to do the avodah of the Levium in the Beis HaMikdash to sing. So therefore, rather, Rab Nechemia says, his mother made for him like this little canopy, a little chuppah for a baby. Beteva, in the box. Why did she make this chuppah? Omra, she said, Shema le'esket l'chupasai. Perhaps I'm not going to be zeicha to be by his chuppah, so she made him a chuppah right there. Vatachmail olav, and the daughter of Pareh had mercy upon him. Vatayman, she said, Miyalde Evrim Zeh, he's a Jewish child. Yada, how did she know? She saw he had a bris. When it says in the pasuk Zeh, what does that mean? She said prophecy without knowing what she's saying. Zeh neifel, that he falls here into the water, he's placed here in the water, ve'einacher neifel. After him, nobody else will be falling into the river anymore, because as I mentioned before, it's on that day that they will mevatel the gzeira. How do we see this? Because behind it, when the Goyim say to you, Dirshu al Oivis v'la Yedainim, that you should go and seek out to get the future from Oivis and Yedainim, different ways of sorcery, Hamitzaftzefim, V'amahagim, they scream and they speak, or tzaftzifim rather means that they see and they speak. Tzayfim v'nidayim yodim matzayfim. They see, but it's not. They see something, but it's not clear to them what they see. Mahagim v'nidayim mahagim. They speak, but they don't even know what they're saying. So over here as well, something similar happened. Rosh Mishin Shal Yisrael b'mayim uloike. They saw that the Savior of Yidden, Moshe Rabbeinu, will be afflicted with water. So therefore, they said, so what does that mean? That means that he's going to be punished by water, so let's kill him by throwing him into the water. That was the reason for the Gzeira. Once Moshe Rabbeinu was placed into a box into the water, they said, Sulei Chazina and Kiyahu Simona, we don't see this simon anymore, and therefore batal the Gzeira Sayah. And they were mevatel the Gzeira that the Jewish baby should be thrown into the water. Now, they didn't see clearly. They didn't know what they were seeing. Because they weren't aware that this refers to what's going to happen years later in the Midbar regarding the story with the Mei Meriva, when he banged the rock and he didn't talk to the rock, and he was punished for that. That's what they were seeing. And behind it, Rabbi Chama bar Rabbi Chanina, Hema Mei Meriva Asher Ravu. What's the Hema? This is the Mei Meriva. Hema Sharo, it's Tagnine Paray. The story of Mei Meriva, this is what the stargazers of Paris saw, V'tol, and they made a mistake. And behind the Kama Moshe, now we also know the meaning of the pasuk. This is what Moshe Rabbeinu told the Yidden, that I saved you. Sheish meis elef ragli, the 600,000 Yidden in my feet. What ragli means, because of me. Amal Moshe Yisrael. Moshe said to the Yidden, B'shvili nitzaltem. It's because of me that you were all saved. Once I was placed into the Nilus, now all the other Yidden were saved from being thrown into the Nilus. Nitzaltem kulchem, you were all saved. Rab Chanina bar Papa says, that day that Moshe Rabbeinu was saved in the Nilos, Esrim ve'echad b'Nisan Oya. It was the 21st day of Nisan. And what happened? The Malachim said to Hashem, Ribono shel olam, Master of the universe, the one that's destined to say the Shira on this day, Yilke b'yom zeh, should suffer and have this pain on this day, should be left here in the Nilos. And that's the schus that he had, that he was saved on that day, that Bas Pari found him. Rabbache, but Rab Chanina Amar, no, that day was the 6th of Sivan. And Omru Malach Eshaz of Nea Kadosh Baruch Hu, Ribono shel olam, mi she'asad lekabel Torah mahar Sinai b'yom zeh. Moshe Rabbeinu, that's destined to receive the Torah from you on this day, on the 6th of Sivan. Yilke b'yom zeh, should suffer here on this day, being in the Nilus. And that's the schus that he was saved. So the Gemara now asks regarding these two dates. It's understood the opinion that says that this was the 6th of Sivan, Mishkachas Lo Gimel Yarchi. So what we said before, that Moshe Rabbeinu was hidden for 3 months after he was born, so that fits perfectly. Because the Master has said, this is the Gemara in Megillah, that B'Shiva Ba'ad Meis and B'Shiva Ba'ad Noida. Moshe Rabbeinu was passed away on the 7th of Adar, and he was also born on the 7th of Adar. Umishiva ba'adar, bat shisha b'sivan, from the 7th of Adar to the 6th of Sivan, plus a yarchi. Those are the 3 months that he was hidden, and that's the day that he was placed into the Nilus. But the other opinion, Rab Acha bar Chanina, that says that this was the 21st of, or actually Rab Chanina bar Papa that said that it was the 21st of Nisan, and that was the day of Kriyas Yamsov. Heichi mishkachas lo, how is it possible to say that he was hidden for 3 months from Zayin Adar to Chafal of Nisan is much less than 3 months? Answers the Gemara, Oisa Shana Mu'beres Haisa. That year was a leap year. Rubai Shel Rishon, and therefore we could count 3 months, and that is most of the first month. It's not 3 full months, but it's close to it. It's most of the first month, most of the month of Adar, besides 7 days. Rubai Shel Achron, and then most of the month of Nisan, besides the 9 days that are left from Nisan, from Chaf Aleph Nisan. And then Tzai Shalom, and then the middle, the second Adar, the middle month, which is full. So it's almost 3 months. So it was a Shana Mu'beres that year. And the simple pshat of the Gemara comes out of here that there's a machlokes whether that year it was a leap year or not. According to Rab Chanina bar Papa it was, and according to Rab Acha bar Chanina it was not. But there is a ha'ara in a sikh from the Rebbe in Chelik Chavav, in a sikh of Zayin Adar, where the Rebbe over there explains that everybody agrees that it was a leap year. Elamai, Rab Acha bar Chanina actually holds, I think the Rebbe says there, he holds the reverse, that it was really more than 3 months. It wasn't 4 complete months yet, so therefore it's referred to as 3 months, something like that. I have to look up there. I didn't see the Sikha now. Take a look in Chelik Chavav Zayin Adar. The Rebbe explains here the pshat of the Gemara. Okay. V'taymar achoisai el bas pare. So now Miriam, she was standing by over there, and she sees that Bas Pare is taking out her brother Moshe Rabbeinu. So the sister Miriam says, "El Bas Pare ha'elech v'karasilach isha menekes min ha'ivrios." Should I go and call you a Jewish woman to nurse her? Umay shna me'ivrios. So why is she offering to bring a Jewish woman? Melamed, this teaches us Sheikh Zirul and Moshe al kol ha'mitzri is kulam, that she tried that is Bas Pare, that Moshe Rabbeinu should nurse from any of the Egyptian women, v'lo yanak, and he refused to nurse. Omar, he says, or Omra, the other gears over here in the Gemara, or Omar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that is, the Eibishter said, Peh she'asad l'daber im ha'shchina, Moshe Rabbeinu's mouth, which in the future will speak with the Shchina, Yinak Davat Tameh, should nurse from a non-Jewish mother milk that's Tameh. So therefore Moshe Rabbeinu did not want to nurse from a non-Jewish mother. V'hainu d'chsiv, this is the pasuk that says, "Es mi yoredeya v'goyme," who can be taught the knowledge of Torah, l'mi yoredeya l'mi yavim shmuel, who can be taught the Torah and understand the message of Torah, l'gemulei mechalav, the one that was weaned off from the milk, l'atike mishatayim, he removed himself from the breasts of the non-Jewish women. So vatayim Allah bas pare lechi, so yet the daughter of Pare said to her, go and get me a mother to nurse her, a Jewish mother. Amar Abelazar malamed shaholcha bezrizus. Ka'alma. She went like the strength of a young girl that has strength to go, even though she was very young. Rav Shmuel ben Achmeni Yoma, when it says that in the pasuk there, but Vatela Ha'alma, what this means is, and a second shot now, Ha'alma means Shehalimas Devareh. She concealed the words that she was speaking. She didn't identify herself that I'm her sister, and I'm going to bring you the mother. Here, take this child. She's saying a prophecy and she doesn't know herself what she's saying. Helichi means, hey, shelechi, here, take what's yours. This is your brother, take him. Vani etein es scharech. And then she says, I will give you wages for this, for the fact that you're feeding this baby. It's not only do tzaddikim return to them their lost object, that Moshe Rabbeinu is returned to the mother, she's even going to get wages now for feeding her own son. This is much later on, after Kriyas Yamsuf, when Miriam takes her tambourine to sing by the Shira. So over there it refers to her as the sister of Aaron. She's the sister of Aaron and not the sister of Moshe. Why does it say specifically the sister of Aaron? Amarav Amram, Amarav Nachman, Amarav Malamed, Shahaisa Misnaba, Keshihi Achais Aaron. Reason she's referred to as the sister of Aaron is hinting to the fact that she already said prophecy about Yidden being redeemed before Moshe was born, when she was still just a sister of Aaron. Vaimeres, and she said, Asida Imi Shetelet Ben Shemashiach Yisrael. My mother's going to give birth to a son that's going to help save Yidden. And then what happened? The moment Moshe Rabbeinu was born, the house was filled with light. Her father got up and kissed her on her forehead. And her father said to her, Amala Biti, my daughter, your prophecy was fulfilled. But then, when they were forced to put her into a box and place her into the river, her father got up and kicked her on her forehead. Her father said, "No, what's going to happen now? What happened to your prophecy? Look, our son is being taken away from us." And that's what the pasuk says. She wanted to see what's going to happen. She knew that she had this prophecy that he's going to be the Redeemer. She wanted to know how is this going to develop. To see and to know what's going to be the end of her prophecy. Here we see that Rebbe spoke once about this. We see a little young Jewish girl. Amram was the Gadol Adar, as the Gemara said before rather. And she was the one that convinced her father to get married again. She was the one that said the prophecy, and she was the one that really was the source of the entire Gula. Just a young Jewish girl at a very young age. At this point, how old was she? I don't remember exactly, at 3 or 4 years old. She was very young, and she was the one that brought the entire Gula of Klal Yisrael with her nevuah.